Yes. We used to have donkeys and things like that, didn't we? I'm going to start off with a poem which comes from a bumper for Joshua. Joshua Jackson, who was no relation, was a folk fiddler who played at weddings and wakes for much of his lifetime at the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th, in the Ripon area. And he left behind him a book in which he copied out his own tunes that he played, well over 100 of them, many of which are unique to this particular collection. And one of these is Lovesick Polly, for which I've written the words, as it were, a poem to fit the music. It wasn't a song, it was just a tune. So here's Lovesick Polly. Her eyes are miles and miles away. She doesn't know the time of day. She doesn't hear a thing I say, poor lovesick Polly. Her shoulders droop. Her head is hung. I swear the cat has got her tongue, and half her buttons are undone, poor lovesick Polly. She hums and hums some silent tune, and waltzes with the borecock broom in kitchen, hall and sitting room, poor lovesick Polly. She stares at things she doesn't see, talks to her sen repeatedly to give her easement of the dree, poor lovesick Polly. We all agree she's off her dot, worse nor bedlamite or sot. Pray, it's not catching what she's got, poor lovesick Polly. The full moon is her only friend, from springtime to the late back end. But there's no prospect that she'll mend, poor lovesick Polly. That rhyme or reason you may see tears of a sudden blin her ee. She's awful fond of poetry, poor lovesick Polly. She used to blare a deal and scream, but now she's sainted and serene. She lives each day inside a dream, poor lovesick Polly. And if in devilment some of us should lay her out and coffin close, I doubt if she could make a fuss, poor lovesick Polly. And who it is, she will not tell. But whosoever we know well, he isn't worth it, never a del, poor lovesick Polly. Love can be douce, but dowly too. Make Dawkins out of me and you, and even clap a claw a few, poor lovesick Polly. Her spirit dwines and fades away. Not leech nor preacher can gainsay the love that'll lay her in the clay, poor lovesick Polly. A number of short poems now, just to sort of get things going. Lots of shifts of mood. From an earlier book, Scorpions, I might add, do it. Which is a line that does not appear in Cole Porter. Your eyes despise nothing. Everything shines, comes to your cot bearing gifts. Wooden bricks bring 8 corners, 12 edges, 6 faces, sucked yellow, chipped red, streaky blue. Nothing too mean for your friendship. And there's the person it was written for. From the poems from the Irish anthology, there isn't, unfortunately, an Irish anthology, so I had to make one. The water of Leary is still as a man whose breath has gone on a far journey. And tonight, for the glory of God, the stars have have doubled their number. Back to the scorpions. Close your eyes for this one. Now stop looking at the names of the ringers and trying to find original Barton. It would be a very useful thing to do on a long poem. A lady sits about her hair, hums as she combs, as unaware she binds the man behind her chair. And another one from the same volume. The yellow hammers are singing in your kitchen. It's a beautiful day, and why shouldn't they after all? You're the kind of person dogs come wagging up to, and a sparrow once took you for its mum. In the kitchen, I find it's only the deep fat bubbling, happy to be working in the same room as you. One of my happiest inventions, I think, is the chapbook. Chapbooks are books that hawkers used to sell at fairs and merrymakings, any kind of places where people would gather. And they were cheap books for sale. And this is my recovery of the chapbook. It's a little book of 32 pages, which can be made out of one sheet of paper, my folio. And it allows you, with what are called the frontispieces in printers' terms, the things that you've got at the beginning and the odd colophon at the end. You've got 26 pages of text, which is very convenient because the English language has got 26 letters. Hebrew's got 22, but we'll come to that later. They've got thinner chapbooks. The 26 pages, therefore, gives rise to that kind of thing, the book called the Abecedarian one. So there's one page for A is for apple, and so on, and B is for B, and C is for C, and you go right through the letters of the alphabet. And when I was doing early books in the chapbook series, I was doing quite a lot of Abecedarian structures. It's a wonderful way of actually organizing a particular rhetoric. And it's wonderful to discover that the psalmists were doing this in Hebrew long before I came across the pattern. Whether they were it was something to do with the length of their scroll, I don't know. But here is one called Enderby's Epitaphs. That's one of my early pen names for Mavis Enderby, which you probably know is a village in Lincolnshire. Who shall I do? I'll start off with Uther. Where is he? Should be on the U page, that's it. Uther the huntsman has ridden away into the darkness and out of the day. Black are the coats that were wont to be red. The fox tallies ho with a kill. Now he's dead. Nigel MacNaughton, professional bore, always told tales he had told you before. Now we're not sure whether with his new breath it's the blessed or the damned he is boring to death. If you know him, keep it to yourself. Eric the Red spent his life in the feat of rendering men into pieces of meat till he was cut down. On his tombstone it said, "Here lie several pieces of Eric the Red." Yes. I'm just bouncing about. It is, yes, yes. E, that's right, he's E. And Q is the next one. Who do we have for Q? Come out, Q. Ah. Queenie McQueen, as a barmaid, was trumps, smiling and busty and fast on the pumps. But she's pulled her last pint, and she smiled her last smile, and the angels are queuing for many a mile. This is one from another chapbook called Enderby's Wee Bestiary, a collection of in the style of medieval animal legendary figures. This is from X. X can often give you a problem, but it's solved by certain animals, which seem to exist simply for the fact of fitting into vestures, if I can say it. The Xiphias, or swordfish, is a weapon driven by a fish, a unicorn that's strong and keen and submarine. W. The wolf. The wolf, though starving in the moor, hunts with a true esprit de corps. The very opposite of selfish is wolfish. Mavis Enderby also wrote a number of books. This is one from one of them called Enderby's Book of Ladylike Riposts, which consists largely of those riposts by ladies to certain poetic gestures on the part of men who are being gallant to their coy mistresses and so on. And here's one to Colonel Lovelace, who wrote to Althea from prison, and also to Lucasta on going to the wars. So this is to Colonel Lovelace on active service. Since honour is thy chosen... Oh, I should tell you, if for those who don't know, the refrain that he uses over and over again is, I could not love thee, dear, so much, loved I not honour more. Since honour is thy chosen love, and arms thy new profession, if it should come from push to shove, then hear my nun's confession. If thou shouldst face the cannon's mouth, whence shot and powder flies, I could not love thee, dear, so much without thy lordly eyes. If thou succumbst to mortar fire that bursts like falling eggs, I could not love thee, dear, so much without thy princely legs. If thou shouldst stop a musket shot too fast for thee to miss, I could not love thee, dear, so much without thy lips to kiss. If thou shouldst meet the sword's sharp edge among the war's alarms, I could not love thee, dear, so much without thy lover's arms. If thou shouldst come against the pike by which so many fall, I could not love thee, dear, so much without thy wherewithal. This is a Christmas card poem. The merry stars are in the sky as many now as then, when God became a little child in little Bethlehem. This is the Christmas message. There isn't any other. God is become a little child depending on his mother. If you don't like it, lump it. That's all there is to say. But if you like it, drink his health upon his Christmas Day. All right, yes. This colour relief. Have you found an original Bertram yet? An original Barsham? He's there, right at the bottom. Original with two L's. Sorry. Oh, right.
Yeah. It's all
Yes, thank you. Give you a bit of relief as well from hearing it. I was asked by Dean Fines to produce a poem, if I could, for the enthronement of Bishop Robert Hardy. Robert Hardy? Yes. And this is one of my occasional poems for that thing, for a bishop's enthronement. The eye of the overseer must have seen, the ear heard, the heart heeded. The hand that will handle must have held the wound, the foot dashed, the heart broken. The head in a silken mitre lined with thorns must bow to unwashed feet, must kiss disfigurement. The lips that will frame to speak the word of God be cleansed with a